What's up everyone? Noah here, from 840 Movie Caps. Today I'm going to show you an American action drama movie from 2021 called The Marksman. Watch out! It's spoiler time. The film begins with the presentation of a kid named Miguel. He witnesses his mother's phone conversation with his uncle Carlos. The man seemed very frightened and told Rosa to stick to the plan, take Miguel and run away because the cartel is on his trail. Carlos is caught by the cartel, and threatened that his family will pay for his actions. While Jim Hansen is hunting down a wolf in the Arizona desert near his farm, he sees a group of 6 people and thinks that they are illegal immigrants. Jim reports what he sees, and the border police send agents to check everything's in order. Meanwhile, Jim finds a wounded old man in the desert to whom he offers water and calls a doctor through the station. Jim returns to his farm where is visited by Carl Nahan, an employee at Pima County Merchants Bank. He gave Jim a letter stating that his farm would be sold at auction in 90 days. Jim asks Nahan for more time to get the money. He says his wife's death affected him greatly, but that he will recover in order not to lose the farm. Jim begins to look for a place to work, but he is not successful at all. Upset by the situation, he goes to the bar. Here he is found by Sarah, his wife's daughter, who was notified by the bartender. Sarah is worried about Hansen's situation and offers to take him home. Sarah has an emotional conversation with Jim about how much they miss her mother. After a few days, Rosa and Miguel are trying to cross the United States border illegally. The man who escorted them sees a cartel car, gets scared and leaves them alone. They manage to cross the border through a hole in the fence, while the cartel car comes toward them. Miguel jumped in front of Hansen's car that was passing through the area. Hansen sees Rosa's leg bleeding and offers to call the border police. Rosa asks him not to, offering to pay him in return for his help. Hansen refuses and calls the police. Meanwhile, the cartel finds them and has a conversation with Hansen. The Mexicans open the fire and Hansen manages to cope with them. He tries to escape Rosa and Miguel from those in the cartel, tells them to get in the car and tries to get away. While on the road, they notice that Rosa is shot. Mauricio jumps into Hansen's car and almost manages to stop him, but he puts a sudden brake and escapes. Before she dies, Rosa asks Hansen to take care of her son. She gives Hansen a paper with an address written on it and a bracelet to her son. The border police finally arrives and Jim finds out that Miguel will end up in an orphanage. Hansen is also called to the station to make a statement about what happened. Hansen wakes up in the car the next morning, near the Mexico border. He sees the cartel trying to legally enter the United States. Hansen sees Rosa's bag in the car, checks it out and finds a lot of money. Hansen keeps on thinking at Rosa's request and gets back to the customs police to talk to Miguel. Hansen gets away with the kid but the cartel was following them. Hansen stops at the farm, quickly putting some clothes and a gun in a bag but Miguel runs out of the car. Meanwhile, the guys from the cartel manage to enter the United States territory even if they used fake passports. Jim finds Miguel and decides to drive to Chicago to find the kid's relatives as Rosa asked before her death. The cartel arrives at Jim's farm and starts looking through Jim's things. Meanwhile, one of them sprays the place with gasoline and sets the farm on fire. Jim calls Sarah to let her know he's okay but finds out that his farm has been burned and that the Mexicans are very dangerous. Meanwhile, the cartel is trying to track down Hansen using a hacker. He finds out that Hansen used his card at a gas station near New Mexico. Mauricio barged into the gas station asking for information about Hansen. The girl doesn't cooperate, so Mauricio forces her to give him access to the security cameras. Meanwhile, Hansen's car engine breaks down and barely reaches a garage for repair. The mechanic tells him that he will fix his car the next day, so Hansen and Miguel will have to stay in the city. Miguel tells Hansen about his life while serving dinner. After eating, Miguel goes to the toilet and on his return, he panics because Hansen was no longer in the local. Fortunately, the kid finds Hansen sleeping in his car. The kid can't sleep so he takes Jackson for a walk around. Hansen managed to get his car fixed and continued his trip to Chicago. Meanwhile, the cartel intercepted once again Hansen's credit card and started chasing them. Walking on Route 66, Hansen is stopped by the police. The policeman takes Hansen's guns and asks him to wait in the car. Hansen feels something's wrong with the cop. Jackson attacks the policeman, while Hansen disarms him. The cartel's car was close to them, so Jim takes Miguel and hides behind some rocks over the road. The cartel gets to the cop's car and getting angry that the old man Hansen and the kid Miguel got away again, realizing the danger he is in, Hansen stops at the nearest gun store and buys himself 2 guns to defend themselves from the cartel. Hansen has a talk with Sarah, who informs him about how powerful Mauricio Guerrero is, and asks him to return with the child. Jim understands the danger and promises Sarah that he will take Miguel back to the border police. Sarah offers to come to get them because Hansen doesn't trust the cops. Meanwhile, Jim and Miguel go shopping and then stop at a motel to spend the night. Hansen realizes the cartel found him using the card, so he pays cash. While watching a movie, Miguel tells Hansen about his girlfriend in Mexico and asks him what happened to his wife. Hansen takes Jackson out of the room for a walk, but he sees the cartel across the street. He grabs Miguel and jumps out the window, but the Mexicans are on their way. They are close to finding Hansen and the boy, but police sirens are heard, so they don't risk getting caught and they retire. Hansen goes back after his dog Jackson, who was left outside, but sees Mauricio shooting him. Hansen buries his dog and tells Miguel he's giving him back to the police. The child runs away but is found on the way by Jim. Although he is not a religious guy, Hansen takes into account Miguel's desire to bury his mother and stops with him at a church. Talking to the priest makes Jim change his mind about the kid, so he calls Sarah and lets her know that he is taking the kid to his relatives in Chicago. One of the cartel members looked at the map Hansen lost and noticed that Hansen wanted to get to Chicago. Meanwhile, Hansen teaches Miguel to shoot a gun, feeling that it will be necessary for their fight against the cartel. Miguel tells Hansen that one day he will kill the cartel leader, but Jim tells him that revenge is not the solution and that his mother died to give him a chance at a better life. Hansen and Miguel stop on the way to Chicago and light a fire to warm up. Here, Hansen gives all his money to Miguel, but he refuses them, stating that those are not his money, those were stolen from the cartel. After this, they are throwing all those money into the fire. The two begin to get along very well and have very little to go to Chicago. Unfortunately for them, two other cartel members see them from the bridge and notify the others. Jim feels something's wrong with the guys on the bridge, so he changes the route. Unfortunately, they meet with the Mexicans on the way. Jim temporarily manages to trick them, but his car's radiator breaks down again at the wrong time. He knows he can't keep running away by car, so he blocks the road and waits for the cartel with a gun. He needed only 2 bullets to kill the car's driver and overturn the car. One of the cartel boys manages to get out of the car and shoot Jim's car, which catches fire. Hansen and Miguel run into the field and find a barn to hide in. The Mexicans come after them, but Jim prepares his attacking position very well and manages to eliminate another Mexican. There are only 2 Mexicans left, who begin to pull toward the barn windows and get closer to it, trying to surprise Jim. Jim creates a diversion using Miguel and changes his position. He kills another Mexican. Mauricio, the most dangerous Mexican, is still alive, trying to kill both Jim and the boy. He enters the barn where Miguel tries to hide in order not to be found. Unfortunately, he gets scared and falls. Mauricio captures him and forces Jim to drop the gun, otherwise he will kill Miguel. Mauricio tries to get Miguel to shoot Jim, but the kid manages to remove the gun's charger, and Jim jumps on Mauricio to disarm him. While Jim was fighting for his life against Mauricio, Miguel grabs the gun, pointing him at the Mexican, wanting to revenge for his mother's death. Jim fastly gets the gun out of Miguel's hand and shoots Mauricio. Hansen manages to save Miguel from the cartel and continues his mission to get the kid to Chicago. A car stops by their side and gets them a helping hand. The next day, Jim and Miguel arrive at the address Rosa gave to Hansen. Before saying goodbye, Hansen gives a little gift to his friend Miguel. The movie ends with the image of Hansen bleeding after the fight with Mauricio, but being at peace with himself for having finished his divine mission. Now that you got your spoilers right, go watch the full movie to find the missing parts. Thank you for watching the video.